I'm Josie, and this is a story of how I learned that the people you love most, your own family, can sometimes become your fiercest rivals, especially when success is on the line. For over a decade, I poured my heart into our family's little computer repair shop in Seattle, turning it from a struggling operation into a $70 million tech powerhouse. But success doesn't always bring everyone together. Sometimes, it stirs up envy in the people who should be your biggest supporters. This is how I built something incredible, only to have my sister try to snatch it away, and how I fought back to claim what was mine. Growing up in a working-class Seattle neighborhood, I was the quiet kid who'd rather tinker with computers than chase popularity. My dad's repair shop, a cramped storefront in a strip mall, was my playground. He'd started it with big dreams of providing for us, fixing PCs with a focus that made me admire him, even if the shop barely paid the bills. I spent my afternoons there, learning to code on outdated machines while my older sister, Vanessa, was the family's shining star. She aced every test, charmed everyone, and went off to Stanford for a business degree, destined for greatness.
Me?
I stayed close to home, enrolling in a community college for computer science, helping Dad keep the shop afloat. Vanessa's visits home were rare but unforgettable. She'd breeze in from San Francisco, where she worked at a fancy consulting firm, her designer bags and confident smile making me feel small. "Josie, you're wasting your potential in this dump," she'd say, her voice sharp with pity. "You should aim higher." Her words stung, but I didn't argue. I loved the shop, its hum of old monitors, the customers who trusted us with their businesses. While Vanessa studied business theories, I was learning real-world skills, coding, troubleshooting, listening to clients. I saw gaps in the market, small businesses struggling with clunky systems, and I knew I could fix it. Deep down, I wanted to prove to my family, especially Vanessa, that I wasn't just the quiet sister. I had something to offer, something big. And my final year of college, inspiration hit. I built a simple, affordable software to help small businesses manage their customers. Nothing flashy, just practical. I showed it to Dad. Nervous, he'd brush it off. He was old school, skeptical of anything beyond fixing hardware. But when local shops started buying it, his eyes lit up. "You might be onto something, kid," he said one evening, a rare smile breaking through. That moment felt like a victory, like I'd finally earned his pride. But looking back, it was like a fleeting sunset, beautiful, but gone too soon. That software was the spark that changed everything, setting the stage for a battle I never saw coming. That spark turned our little repair shop into Brooks Tech Solutions, a name I came up with to reflect what we could become. I threw myself into the work, coding late into the night, tweaking the software based on customer feedback. My days blurred into 15-hour marathons, fueled by coffee and a quiet determination to make something of myself. The software caught on, first with local cafes and stores, then with bigger clients across Washington. Within 6 years, we hit $10 million in annual revenue, a milestone that felt unreal. I'd walk into the office, once just a cluttered backroom, now buzzing with a small team of developers I'd hired, and feel a surge of pride. This was mine, built from my ideas and sweat. But even as the company grew, Vanessa's shadow loomed. She'd visit from San Francisco, her corporate life sounding glamorous compared to my endless grind. "Still playing with your little program?" she'd tease, her smile sharp enough to cut. I'd shrug it off, focusing on the next client or feature update, but her words gnawed at me. I wanted her to see what I was building, to respect it. My mom noticed my exhaustion, bringing me homemade dinners at the office. "You need a life outside this, Josie," she'd say softly, setting a plate on my desk. I'd nod, but I couldn't stop. This wasn't just about the company. It was about proving I belonged, that I wasn't less than Vanessa. My dad, meanwhile, seemed prouder of Vanessa's polished resume than my results. "She's got the credentials," he'd say when I pushed for new ideas, his tone implying my lack of a fancy degree held me back. It hurt, but I kept going, driven by a mix of stubbornness and hope. We expanded into cloud-based solutions, signed deals with regional chains, and built a reputation for reliability. Clients loved us because I listened to them, not because I had an MBA. Still, the tension at home grew. Vanessa's rare visits were filled with backhanded comments, and I started noticing her eyeing the company with new interest. I was too buried in work to see the storm brewing, but the signs were there, like cracks in a dam about to burst. The cracks broke open at my dad's big birthday gala, a glitzy event Vanessa planned at a downtown Seattle hotel. It was less about celebrating Dad and more about her showing off her style through and through. She'd rented a grand ballroom, invited tech moguls, investors, and clients, turning a family milestone into a networking extravaganza. I arrived in a simple navy dress, practical as always, only to catch Vanessa's scowl. "Couldn't you try harder?" she whispered, eyeing my outfit like it was an insult to her guests. I bit back a retort, focusing instead on greeting attendees, making sure everything ran smoothly. That's who I was, the one who got things done, not the one stealing the spotlight. The room filled with chatter, clinking glasses, and Vanessa's radiant presence. She moved through the crowd in a shimmering gown, charming everyone with her practiced smile. I stayed in the background, checking on catering, adjusting the mic for speeches. During dinner, Vanessa stood, tapping her glass for silence. I expected a warm toast to Dad, maybe a story about his early days at the shop. Instead, my stomach twisted as she launched into a speech that changed everything. "Tonight, we celebrate Dad, but also the future of Brooks Tech Solutions," she began, her voice confident and clear. "The board has decided we need unified leadership to stay competitive." My fork froze midair. "Board? Since when did we have a board making decisions?" "Effective immediately," she continued, her eyes locking onto mine. "I'll be taking over as sole CEO." The room buzzed with murmurs. "For too long, we've been held back by outdated ideas," she said, her tone dripping with pity as she looked at me. "Josie, you've done fine with the tech side, but leadership requires vision. You're just not cut out for it." My heart pounded, my face burning as every eye turned to me. She was dismantling me in front of our family, our clients, our world. I glanced at Dad, hoping he'd speak up, defend the work I'd poured my life into. He just nodded, a proud smile for Vanessa. My mom stared at her plate, her hands trembling, silent as always. "You're a liability, Josie," Vanessa added, her voice sharp. "It's time to step aside gracefully." The silence was deafening, the weight of their stares crushing. I stood, my chair scraping loudly, and walked to Dad's table. I placed a small gift, a custom USB with a digital archive of the shop's history, in front of him. "Happy birthday, Dad," I said, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. Then I walked out, head high, refusing to let them see me break. But as I left, a fire ignited inside me. Vanessa thought she'd won, but she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. The next morning, I was at the office before dawn, the Seattle skyline still dark outside. My hands shook with a mix of anger and resolve as I waited in the conference room. At exactly 8 a.m., Vanessa strode in with Dad, both smiling like they'd already erased me. "Josie, what are you doing here?" Vanessa snapped, her voice laced with irritation. "After last night, I thought you'd stay home." I smiled, thinking of the email I'd sent at 3 a.m. to every client, partner, and employee at Brooks Tech. "Just tying up loose ends, dear sister," I said calmly. "But since you're here, let's talk about the company's future." "There's nothing to discuss," Dad said firmly. "Vanessa's in charge now. The board approved it." I raised an eyebrow, pulling out my tablet. "The board? Let's clarify a few things." I connected to the conference room screen and opened a document. "First, I own 60% of Brooks Tech Solutions. Remember when we needed funds to expand, Dad? You sold me 30% of your shares, on top of my original 30%. You were too busy with Vanessa's award ceremonies to read the fine print." Their faces paled. Vanessa gripped the table, her nails digging in. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Oh, it's true," I said, pulling up more files. "And the software that drives 90% of our revenue? It's owned by my company, InnovateWorks LLC. Brooks Tech only has a licensing agreement which expired." I checked my watch about 15 minutes ago. Dad sank into a chair, muttering about renewal papers he'd signed without reading, distracted by Vanessa's gala planning. And last night, I continued, while you were toasting your victory, I emailed our clients about the leadership change and my exit. Most have loyalty clauses tied to me, my skills, my results. Want to guess how many are terminating their contracts? Vanessa's phone buzzed as she scrolled frantically, her composure cracking. You can't do this, she stammered. Oh, but I can, I said, my voice steady. The company you tried to steal? It's nothing without my software, my clients, and my team, who, by the way, are joining InnovateWorks. I laid out their options. Option 1, I walk away with my shares, software, and clients, leaving Brooks Tech worthless. Or option 2, you both resign, keep your shares as silent partners, and Vanessa gets a severance package to start over elsewhere. Vanessa's face twisted with rage. You planned this, she spat. No, I said, my voice low. I spent years trying to be a good sister, building this company while you took credit. I made this plan 12 hours ago, after you called me a liability in front of everyone. By noon, the paperwork was done. Vanessa and Dad stepped down, and I stood alone in my office, the company finally mine. But as I looked out over the city, the victory felt bittersweet. I'd won, but at the cost of my family. The next year was a whirlwind. Under my leadership, Brooks Tech Solutions tripled in value, launching new products and signing global clients. I hired a team that shared my vision, not my sister's flair for publicity. Vanessa moved to Austin, taking a job at a small startup, a humbler role that I hoped taught her something. Dad retired, finally seeing how close Vanessa came to ruining his dream. Family gatherings are polite but distant, like strangers sharing a table. My mom visited me one evening, her eyes heavy with regret. Did it have to end like this? She asked softly. I took her hand, my voice gentle but firm. They left me no choice, Mom. They tried to erase me from what I built. She nodded, understanding but heartbroken. I found peace in my work, pouring my energy into new expansions and innovations I'd held back under Vanessa's shadow. One day, an invitation arrived to speak at a Seattle tech conference themed Resilience in Leadership. I accepted, smiling as I planned my talk, ready to share my story of being underestimated and rising above. Late at night, I sometimes pull out a memento, a photo collage of Brooks Tech's journey, from our tiny shop to the powerhouse it is now. It reminds me of what I'm capable of, even when others saw me as nothing. My mom once told me, success is the best revenge, but wisdom is knowing when to let go and grow. She was right. I've moved past revenge, focusing instead on building something lasting, something that's mine. The scars from that gala night remain, but they've made me stronger. I learned that the quiet ones, the ones others dismiss, are often the ones who change the game. My stories become a whisper in tech circles. That's Josie Brooks, the one who, they never finish, but they don't need to. My work speaks for itself. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, battles, and breakthroughs. If my story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join us, where every line of code tells a tale of grit, heart, and hard-won victories. Keep building your own path, and I'll see you at the top.